Hi, this is Cousin Russ. Uh, been taking a break for a little bit, and but now it's time to get back to work, whatever that means. Okay, this is a part of my series on office hours and specifically how I use Family Tree Maker. If you would, if you care to, leave a comment in the live stream or in the chat, and let me know where you're viewing this recording from. Also, let me know if you are a user of the Family Tree Maker program. I do have a playlist description of what I'm trying to accomplish on this series. So if you want to look at the playlist description, that it will help you. And I have a blog, so you either catch me here on YouTube live streaming or on my blog. I'm going to do something different today, and let me get off the screen and put up what I want to talk about. And that is some work that I do not in Family Tree Maker, but make my time in Family Tree Maker uh, more productive. And I see two people are now watching the live stream, and I hope you will let me know where you're watching from and if you're a user of Family Tree Maker. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to put on my screen a program called Evernote. It's what I have running, and for the most part, it is running on one of my monitors anytime that I'm working on uh, Family Tree Maker. Dear Myrtle, thank you for dropping in. Sorry about the rain in Washington. I hope you can get out and take a look around for uh, a domicile. Just put it that way. Okay, so this is Evernote full screen. Dr. Shelley, honored. Thank you for dropping in. So this is Evernote, and I have a bunch of notebooks in Evernote, and I keep them for a lot of things like the genealogy stack, location stack, stuff that I don't want to lose. And one of the tabs that or one of the notebooks I have is on Family Tree Maker, and I'm going to talk specifically about this tab that I have open that you see on the screen. It's called Sources Ancestry. And what that is a list of my understanding of the records that I will bring into Family Tree Maker, and then that'll make a little more sense. All these links are clickable, and I can get back to this page from each page. But I'm going to talk about the 1950 census. I am hovering over that link, and I'm going to click on it and see what happened. It brought up one of these items down the left-hand side. And this is what I have documented from uh, for the 1950 US Federal Census. The DBID is something that I know that I keep track of, and this is from Ancestry. And if I click on that link, it will take me to a search page from Ancestry. The information that's here, and I will show you where it is on the website, but this is in a copy and paste from the website because this will help me determine a citation when I get down that far. This is all the instructions that are also in the description of the 1950 census. I did the screen capture yesterday, and as of yesterday, there were 20 or 12 records that you can get to, and you will see records and can search. These are the searchable records so far. They got two more that they say will come soon, Hawaii and Indian reservations. Now it gets down into the detail of the collection. And again, this is from the Ancestry website, and it's telling me the kind of information I may find. There's some more specific information about the collection. There's a brief description about what sheet 71 is about, and I'll talk about that again in a minute. Unfortunately, Ancestry called it page 61. That is not correct. It is a sheet number, and I'll talk about that in a minute. A little bit about military information, college students, Native American. There's some information about the collection on the Ancestry website. Here's the collection content. And this is all information from so far down to this point. It's the data from the Ancestry website. And let me see if I will bring the website over here, just so you know that I'm not making this stuff up. Now I've got to scroll down all the way through all the fields. The interesting thing about this screen, that this is the kind of fields that we're going to be able to search on when those records are searchable. So you can search for hours worked, industry, school attendance. So these are the fields that we have been told will be indexed in every field index from Ancestry working with Family Search. Now we're getting down to the information that I copied and pasted from this website onto Evernote. And I do that because I may not have 2 or 3 monitors on my computer, but I want the data, so it's in Evernote. If I go teach a class, it's in Evernote. It's on my laptop. Here's the collection that is searchable now. Here are the fields that there were questions on. So all of the information that I just shared with you that are in Evernote came from Ancestry, and in their description, sorry about the scrolling, this is the information that they have provided to us. So I want to get rid of that. Now we get into the part that I want to talk about today. The data to capture. That's what I want to talk about. I have written in here some of the stuff that I have done videos on how I did my preparation work, and some details, some sources that I have. But I want to do one more thing. I'm going down to the bottom, and I'm going back to the table of contents, because what I have next is a link to the CensusGenie series that DearMYRTLE did for us. This is in Evernote for me as a quick reminder of all the stuff that we did. And I believe that I'm going to put into the chat, I'm going to put a link to this blog series, the CensusGenie, where what I have on my screen is there. The reason why I have it here is because I don't have to go to the website. I can, but these are all the materials that we covered in over a year in the CensusGenie series, including videos, including some stuff that the panelists did. So it's all right here right in front of me in Evernote. There are links to the videos that we did. This was a Legacy Family Tree webinar series that we did for the folks at Legacy. The one step website. So all these links are in the DearMYRTLE compendium, and it is awesome. There's a lot of good resources there. That's a 1950 CensusGenie. So let me get back to where I was going. We have all these fields that are in the 1950 census, and what I want in front of me is the questions that were asked. So what I did is went to the website with all the questions are. I have a blank form, and so I wrote them where I can read from them if I choose to. Now I want to go back to the table of contents and go to the 1950 census where I want to get to, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit uh, because what I want to deal with is, okay, so I have this census record. What do I want to capture and put in my database? Now I'm going to cover this a little different way, but this is where I started. I said, this isn't going to work for me, especially if I have to teach a class on the 1950 census. So what I have done, instead of completing this section, but I will replace this section because I want to get a little different perspective on what I'm dealing with. Those questions that I talked about a few minutes ago, I put in an Excel spreadsheet. So each one of them are here. The identification on the form itself, the P1 form. And what I need to do now is to determine whether or not I'm going to use the information on the census. Keep in mind that I like to be consistent, uh, across census records that I have used in the past. I want to be consistent, so I'm capturing similar data. Uh, so let me start at the top. The top of the form, let me see if I don't have a copy of the form. I'll just bring it over here so you can see what I'm dealing with. This is a census record. And let me get up to the top right, and I'm going to shrink it a little bit. And let's see, here we go. The numbers are on the Excel spreadsheet are these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, sheet number, and the headings for those sections of that form are on the Excel spreadsheet. So what fact am I going to use? But a state goes into a source, not a fact. It's a source entry. It'll help me create the source as opposed to a citation. The county is a source information. The incorporated place or township is not part of the source. That is a citation entry. The ED number is a citation entry. If I were to get into a page that was had hotel, rooming, institution, that would also be a citation entry. The sheet number is a citation entry. It is not a source entry. It's part of what makes up the citation that I have. Now, F is a little bit different. F is the date that they started the page. And I go up here to this field up here that says other facts, F, date started. So any fact that I add that I use, with one exception. I will use that date as the date for the fact. Line numbers, that is going to be citation entry. By the way, the sheet date started will be a fact date. Street name is going to be a citation entry. For the head of household, this is the columns on the census record under the heading of head of household. House number, that is the citation entry. Dwelling serial number, I am choosing to use that as part of the citation, so that when I look at the record and you look at the record that I saw, you will see what I saw. If it's the dwelling serial number along with the house number, I have found to be, especially if you get into one of those sheet 71 entry issues, uh, the enumerators for the ones that I have looked at, they will carry that dwelling serial number and the house number to the sheet 71. So I know that if I found an entry on a sheet number 71 or less, 70 or less, that it will see probably crossed out a house number, uh, a dwelling number, C sheet 72, lines 3 and 4. That line 3 and 4 will have the house number and the dwelling number, at least the ones that I have had so far. The next question, is this a house or a farm? And besides the typo there, I have chosen that information is not important to me yet. I, in all the census records that I've looked at, there's always an indication of whether it's a farm or not. And I have chosen at this point in time not to use that field as part in my database. I may at some point in time later choose to add that, but for the moment, I am not going to use it. If number three, if no, for number three or more acres, I am not going to use it. Same with the agricultural questionnaire number. I have chosen at this point in time not to use it. So the name, number 7, this is for everybody. I'm going to use the name fact. And what I'm typing now is relationship in the residence fact description. So in the residence fact that I create, I will put that relationship in the residence fact description. The reason why I do that is since 1860, that is one place where we've seen a document spelling out the relationship between the name that's on that field and the head of household. So I have adopted in every residence fact, which is where I record my census records, every residence fact will have two pieces, one of which is the relationship to head of household. I have talked about that before. The next item is race, and I am going to, oops, I don't know what that was about. Let me get rid of this. So it's going to be, I'm going to use it as the race fact, sex fact, age at last birthday. That's number 11. I am going to do two things with this. I'm going to make an about birth year, and I'm going to uh, use age in the residence fact, description, because if I what I see in the residence fact is the age that was reported on the census record, but I translate that age into a birth year, and I use the term about, because it's not actually that 1 year. In my mind, is plus or minus 18 months. So I record that age that's on the census record twice, two different ways, two different places. One is for the birth year, and I prefix the birth year with the word about. And I also put it in the age and in the residence fact. I've blogged about that. I won't cover that in detail at this point in time because that's not my purpose. Number 12 is marriage status. I have a fact that I use all of the time on all of the census records and any other record that gives them marital status. I have a marital status fact. Now, having said that, the date that I put is the date that came off of number F or letter F at the top right-hand corner of the sheet. So as of that date, I put the marital status, and the column, the description of what's provided to us is on the census record itself. Number 13 is the state the person was born in. That is birth place. And so that's what I put in the birthplace fact. So I know the date. Hi, Bennett. Good to see you. Thank you from Arkansas. Good. So I use the birthplace and the birth year. So I put that in the birth fact. I should spell out birth fact place. If foreign, number 14, if foreign, naturalized. And I will, if there's information, I do put that information in a naturalization fact. And that would go in the description field along with the date from F. So everything, all the facts that I'm adding, I will have the date that came out of the upper right hand corner. Okay, for persons 14 years or 14 years of age or greater. These are the next questions that show up. I have chosen for the moment, it's been in previous census records and I've been not had to use this in the past. That doesn't say I won't in the future, but I am going to say I'm not going to use it. That's me. If 15 is H or OT, and you need to see the questions to see what they mean, did they work last week? I am not going to track whether they worked last week. Was the person looking for work? I'm not going to track that. I always can come back and do it later because I will have the image of that census record in my database. Uh, how many hours? I'm not going to track that. Occupation. I have an occupation fact, and it goes into the occupation description along with the date from F. The industry, occupation, or industry description. I learned how to spell. So I record that uh, because over time that's going to be important to me, and I may pick up their occupation and industry in other records. The next item is number 20, and that is class of worker. At the moment, that doesn't mean anything to me. Now, I want to go back and do one more thing. Here's that census record. So all we have just done is gone all the way across the lines. Now, I'm not doing anything with the leave blank items. These items say leave blank and there's information in them. At the moment, I am not going to do anything with them. What I am just described in my Excel spreadsheet is which of these fields are going to be entered in my database. Now you will notice on this record, there are the sample entry lines. There's a 3, 8, 11. So these are the additional questions that will be answered that are down at the bottom. So what am I going to do if one of my people that I am putting into my database falls on one of those lines? What am I going to do? That's where I start here. And the reason why I am doing this live is because I force myself to do what I'm doing right now. I have discovered that I need to go back, and the good news is I recorded them that way, that somebody ended up on one of those supplementary questions. But I am not sure that I was consistent, uh, that I wasn't consistent about what I covered. Let me just bring up a comment from a couple comments that are in the chat. So you do this to better understand the purpose of the record set and what information to expect to find. That is absolutely correct, Mert. And the other thing she said, so you aren't transcribing in every single place, but rather adding facts to your ancestor's profile with the date. And that is correct. Uh, I have not added any additional uh, fields in my database. I haven't needed to yet. I may, as I finish this, I may have to add a couple, but so far there have been I've been trying to be very consistent about what data I pull off from each census record and the other records that I showed in Evernote, and I will talk about that I'll go back to Evernote in a few minutes. One of the things that I'm pretty sure that I didn't do in the supplementary information was the question 21, same house a year ago. I'm going to use residence fact. Hi, June. Hope things went well yesterday. I'm glad to see you here. Residence fact. Uh, I will use a year ago, and it was if they were in the same house a year ago. Uh, and I will add the year 1949. Living on the house a year ago. I am on a farm a year ago. For the moment, I got to. I keep fighting this farm issue every year, and so far I haven't found an advantage to showing farm or not. Um, but that I'm doing this intentionally so I can come back and change if I need to. And June, please let us know how that goes. Living in this same county a year ago. I'd like that. So I am going to, if they were in the same house in the same county, I would put the same house residence fact. I am going to put in description, same house as I have in previous years, like the 1940 census showed us where we were in the 1935. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. Uh, Same county as last year. That is going to be the residence fact place name. So that's where I'm going to put the data, and I will put the year, 1 year uh, in 1949. Uh, 24A, if no for 23, what county a year ago? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do residence fact, place name. What state a year ago? Residence fact, place name. So that's going to tell me they were in the same house last year or not. Were they in the same county a year ago? If it was no, what county were they in? So I'm adding a couple of another residence fact based on the entry that's in the supplemental questions. A bonus. What country were mother and father born? Now that is interesting. And this is one item that my my class that I teach failed me on because I recorded, because it was there, the country that the parents were born in. I may not know the parents' names. I will assume, if I know the birth surname, that the father has the same first surname, but I will use my unknown name uh, format of 5 underscores. So, what country is the mother and father born in? I will put birth, fact, place. I may not know when. I don't care. I may not know their name. But in the example that I had from my class, the mother was born in Finland. And I would not have picked that up had I not looked at question 25 for the mother. So I am, even though I don't know her name, I'm going to enter her in my database as 5 underscores space 5 underscores birth fact Finland. So I am going to do that for the mother and the father. 26. What is the highest grade of school? I have a fact called education. No, highest grade description. I have been using that each year that there's a census record that gives me the highest grade that they had, and there's a code on the census record that I will use that's very similar to what has been in the past, and I will use this date F, what's in F in upper right hand corner, and I will put that with that fact. Did they finish the grade? I'm not going to do that at the moment. Attended school since 2-1, over and over 30 years of age. I am not going to include that in what I have so far. Looking for work. I'm not going to include that. How many weeks of work did they do? I'm not going to include that. And the next are a bunch of questions about how much did the household earn or not. Now, because my understanding that many people did not choose to provide that information to the enumerator, they were probably given an envelope with a sheet of paper in it to be mailed in, that we can't see it. I am choosing at the moment not to include uh, that information in my database. The next one, uh, the next one is 33A, World War II military fact. World War I military fact. Now I'm hoping that the census record, the census image itself has the word he in many of the facts, when in fact the person may not be a he that's they're reporting on. Uh, my two sister-in-laws and my aunt would be very disappointed if they did not answer that question, because they, all three of them, were in fact in the military in World War II in the Korean War timeframe. Any other time, including present service, I will probably put in the military fact, and I'm going to add a question mark because I haven't seen one yet. So I don't know for sure whether I'm going to use that fact or not. And I'm just going to put a question mark there for now. Um, Number 34 was a long question, and I did not put it here. I'm not going to use it. Kind of work, last job. I'm not going to do that. Class of work. Um, you know what? I'm going to leave them blank. I may come back and revisit these last two items, so I'm going to put a question mark by that because I may come back. I haven't seen them, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it if I do. So I'm going to leave it as a question mark. Person married more than once. Yes, I'm going to use that marriage status. If married, widowed, divorced, or separated, how many years since? I am going to do that. If female, how many children were born, not counting stillborns? And I have a fact called mother, how many children, and I'm going to record that, and that's just a number. Uh, the 1900 census, the 1910 census, both spelled these items out very nicely, and I like it. It gives me a notion of whether I have enough of the children or not. The residence fact, just one more time, all the facts that I include will carry the date that's at the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and the residence fact will always be 4/1/1950. That is the official date of the census record. So I just went through all of the questions that are uh, on the census, and I'm going to put a link into the chat if I can find it. Here we go. Here is a link to all the questions that were asked that I just covered. If you care to use that link to go see the questions. So I'm going to minimize that. And what I will be doing now in Evernote, I will be changing all of this information to reflect what's in that spreadsheet. The spreadsheet to me was easier to do this than it was doing it in Evernote, but I will transfer the work that I did because I'm going to have my class go through that spreadsheet, and I'm going to do with them what I just did here, and then we'll put it in this document. What else is on this? That's where I stopped. I have other work to do on the spreadsheet or on this Evernote file, because then I go by workspace in Family Tree Maker. What do I do? Like person notes, uh, research log. This is the work information that I will put in the research log. The source workspace. There's the keyword search, and these are the information that are asked when I fill out a template. And I remember that some of that I put uh, in the spreadsheet that I just showed you. The roll number, there won't be a roll number. So I'm just going to mark it here. It'll be blank, because there is no roll number. I got most of my images from Ancestry, and this is the information that will be in the source template that I talked about when I went through the spreadsheet. Spell out the county and the county name, because that's the template that I will use. This is how I will fill out the citation citation detail. And that's what it looked like. I will be updating. Do you link the spreadsheet to Evernote, Maria? I may do that, but I have two different purposes for the spreadsheet. I want my class to help me fill out the spreadsheet. But the results of that I will probably put into Excel. And I have thought about linking the spreadsheet here, which I may in fact do. I'm not sure. What I put into the citation text, all of this stuff is stuff that I have yet to do, like the file naming convention, the caption naming that I have done for 1940. All I have to do for the most part on this bottom part of my Evernote sheet is update it to 1950. I got as far as I want in the Evernote page, so I could do this presentation, do this Q&A. Again, each page that I have here on this column set of notes, I have a hot link to the index, but that's a feature of Evernote. And again, these are the other records that I have already documented, just like I have documented. And so that is my use of Evernote, is specifically the 1950 census. Uh, that's what I wanted to cover today. If you have any questions, please type the questions into the live chat. the live chat will be available in the recording. So if you watch it later, the live chat will be there, and the chat will show up as it is timed during the broadcast. And I will take comments as well. I do try to respond to the comments that are put in the comments once the show is recorded. And let me know where you're watching from. And some of you have already done that, and I thank you. And I hope it stops raining in Washington soon. And if you're a user of the Family Tree Maker program, and I have tried to put in the playlist, the office hours playlist, what I am trying to accomplish. And I do have a blog, ftmuser.blogspot.com. This recording and the other items that I have done in the series, I have also put the recording in a 1950 census playlist. Thank you, Maria. This takes time to play around and to get the program to work for you rather than us working for the program. Okay, I think I've covered everything I want to. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.